Welcome here on a Monday in Maryland. And Tim, how does it feel to have a summer day here in November?
Great, great. Well, to enjoy every one of these days that we can get. We know it cannot last, but we will enjoy it while we can for sure.
Absolutely. Just taking a look at that track right now. As I just mentioned, to kind of coincide with this picture, that it's a nice summer day out. Really a nice summer day out here in the nice fall month of November, 75 degrees, not really a breeze going on, but let's go ahead and kick on over to that first race in this claiming 16 and upward, which have never won two, going 7 furlongs on the dirt. And Tim, we both have the Brittany Russell training, giving another chance to Miss Remia.
Yeah, we're going to start on a fast track this afternoon. We open up on the main track in the 7 Miss Remia for Brittany Russell. Eased in her return race, first for Brittany, but adds Lasix this afternoon. Takes a significant drop from that A other than to the Stonewayers of 2 lifetime for 16,000. So that should be enough. You would think. Couple works since that last race, and she has nice race and debut over a year ago at Keeneland. But look, all of this should work for Miss Remia.
It's the combination of the 20 for 50 first-time Lasix with Brittany Russell, and then keying in on that first-time out race. That's a 6.5. We get the 7 today. Tried going short, tried going long in a couple of different type of situations. So a bit better position for Miss Remia. We both have the number 5 underneath. Fishers for Claudio Gonzalez. Walter Rodriguez gets the call on this one. Just hoping for a little bit better luck this time today.
Yeah, I just didn't show up at all
Right.
in that. Now is a 2 for 40, but takes the drop to the 16. Ran decently here in the maiden, or Timonium in the maiden 25. It run 5 good races in a row before that clunker in most recent, but it was against tougher. Gets the class drop today. Gets a work since that last race, and so Fishers certainly figures here this afternoon in the opener.
That starts out in the opener. Tim Tulloch 7.563. I go 7.526. Race number 2 starts the early pick 4. Tim Tulloch has a ticket lined up for us today. Tim, how do you play this Monday day of racing?
4 deep here in race number 2. First race on the grass this afternoon. Grass is firm. I use a 4, 5, 6, and 7. I single in race number 3. It's a maiden 12, but I single on connecting for Anthony Pecoraro. Everything looks just too good not to single there. Spread in race 4, 2, 5, 7, 8, 7/8 of a mile on the main track. And then race 5, I use 3 of them, 2 out of than a mile 16th on the turf, 6, 8, 9. $24 ticket on the early pick 4.
Pretty solid ticket for a pretty solid card that we have here on this Monday of racing. But kicking off the early pick 4 is a starter optional claiming 12.5, 8 furlongs on a mile here on the turf. Tim, you have the number 5 on top. We've got a video spotlight on the number 5. 1-2 kid, Mario Saray Jr., Grant Whitaker back on the turf again.
Yeah, I mean, you look, he's marred back there in and amongst traffic in this particular race. This is from October 16th here at Laurel over a course that was rated good. As I mentioned, we're going to get firm this afternoon. But he keeps on coming up here. Grant Wither has to wait on a little bit of room here. Can we get through on the inside? Yes, we can.
Easy.
And he gets up through there. He's got to get through on the inside of a Capuana horse right there. And he continues on willingly all the way to the wire. Battalion would win this race, would come back and win again, I believe.
You're right.
And so that was a pretty nice horse. This is a horse who's, I look at his form and I wonder why we even try to run him on the dirt, at least over the last year.
I agree.
His race has been very, very good on the turf, including that 179 Beyer speed figure. That particular day, you go back further, August of this year, won a starter race on the grass, going a mile and an eighth over a good turf course, and ran a nice solid race in the spring. Here at Laurel Park. So he needs a little flow up front. The distance could be a little bit of a question, the flat mile, but if he gets a little flow up front, he should be able to come running.
And that was my biggest thing. In between all of that dirt campaign, I just had a big question mark across that whole entire dirt campaign. So really it's just back on the turf. I think I'm a bit more confident in the distance with this one. Sure, the 9 furlongs works for this guy. He's got no win on it and that decent second that we just saw, but capable, again, as you said, if we get a little bit of pace going right into that. And just to the outside is Daddy's Cozy, who I have on top in this race for Daniel Hudson. William Humphrey opted to run on Montpelier, but decided to come here. A decent effort last time out.
Hey, it was a real good effort with a little bit of a trouble in that race. This horse has been in good form since getting back to the flat races earlier this summer. He has not run a bad race. As you mentioned, that was a good effort in his most recent race where he had a little bit of trouble a couple times in that race and still came up with a good finish.
Still came up with a good finish. You also have, we both have the number 7 underneath. Why not chat about that one for a second? Smile Brian for Hugh McMahon. J. Ron Barbosa gets the call on this one today. What do you take for the I mean, he's won at going back at Colonial for this distance today.
Yeah, I mean, this should suit him. I mean, there's no doubt about it. His most recent races on the grass were quite good. He's 13 for 21 in the money on the turf. So you can't just toss him by any
Right.
stretch of the imagination. The 4 Mint game, look, this one's shown improvement over his last 3 races. Not a bad race. The Maryland Million starter at all. He finished 7th, but he only got beat 2.5 lengths for the whole thing, and he was coming from way, way back. Some other good races on his form. We're going to get a good price on Mint game today with Javion Toledo, and if he stays a little closer, it could make a big difference.
I love that. He's being put in these spots where he belongs with Mint Game. So I absolutely love that price play underneath. I shoot for a price play underneath as well. He'll probably be one of the longer shots on the board. But that's Tim Tullock 5-6-4-7. I go 5-7-5-6-5-7-8. On to race number 3. This maiden claiming 12.5, 5.5 here on the dirt, and we both coincide with a couple of our picks on top with connecting. Starting with connecting for Anthony Pecoraro. Gave a nice one out, going the 7 furlongs on an off-going track last time out. What do you make of that, Tim?
Oh, I think he can run on the on a sloppy track pretty decently, but he also run on a fast track. This is my single on my early pick 4. Much improved since the Pecoraro claim. He just missed with Life Best, as you mentioned, in that last start, but had run a nice race going 5.5 furlongs over a fast main track up there at Delaware and running a good figure that's good enough for here. Pecораro's tough. He's having a great year. He's 25% off this type of layoff, 30, 60 days. He's 22%, and this one comes in fresh with 3 works since that last race. Connecting for me is the horse to beat and has the figures to support it.
I agree. Just to back that up a little bit. And then we also have Robbed in the Bahamas underneath, Gilberto Zerpa, Toledo. These numbers from Monmouth are stacking up pretty well. That was a pen run last time out, but I'm looking back at that Monmouth campaign, and I think that's going to transfer pretty well here to here
Well,
today.
he's going to have to run back to that September 5th race at Monmouth Park. That was a good figure. He still got beat 4 lengths that day, but it was a good race. My concern is going up to Penn National and being a beaten short-priced favorite that particular day. So we'll have to see what we get with Robbed in the Bahamas this afternoon. But you're absolutely right. If you can run back that Monmouth race, that puts him right in it.
Definitely. Race number 4 is that claiming 16 starts the Rainbow Pick 6. We have a continued carryover from the past few days of racing. It just ticked over 20,000. That'll pop up by the time we get to race number 4 here today. I've got a ticket lined up for you guys. And usually I had to start pretty evenly. I start in Union Fleet for Cal Lynch in this race as my single, going in for a bit of a gutsy single. My biggest thing is that Cal Lynch is 10 for 41 in poor last race, so when they give a bad effort, they tend to bounce back. Lynch can bounce them back pretty well. And then I had to readjust a little bit because there were a lot of scratches in race, a lot of significant scratches in race number 8, so I just put the whole field in for race number 8. And then race number 9, loving the setup with the 14 draws in, so I had to put that one on my picks as well. A $38.40 ticket to get you going on this day of racing here. But without further ado, let's go on to race number 4, that 7 furlongs on the dirt event, the claiming 16, never win 2. And we both land on what happens to be my single is the number 7 Union Fleet, Cal Lynch, Angel Cruz, as I just gave that nice little stat about running poor last time out.
Yeah, look, Cal doesn't mess around. I mean, this one just didn't get away in his last start. Stepped slow. Cal says, okay, that's fine. Let's go here. 9 wears a 2 for 12, 5 taking this drop, turning back in distance. Cal Lynch about 31% when he makes that move off this type of 30, 68, or 21%. This is a horse that was in decent form against much tougher until that race. A win at Delaware while breaking his maiden for maiden 25, in for the 2 life for 12 this afternoon. that's a perfect spot. He's going to be very tough, no doubt about it.
Going to be very tough in this race. You also have the number 5 underneath, Mad Genius for Anthony Ferrier, William Humphrey. I can absolutely see the attraction there. We're getting back on the dirt first and foremost.
Yeah, we're getting back on the dirt. Nice races earlier this year on fast dirt. Has not seen fast dirt since last February when he ran a 66. That particular day got beat 3/4 a length in a 3-year-old 40 event. Broke his maiden for maiden 25 in for the 16 today. That will work here if he can run back to those earlier races. Spoke with Ferrier yesterday afternoon. He's feeling pretty good about Mad Genius.
Feeling pretty good about Mad Genius. You also have the number 8. I also have the number 8 Codigo underneath. The other Cal Lynch runner, JD Acosta, gets this is another one. Same type of story. Gets back to the right surf and distance for this guy today. I would have loved the 6 furlongs, but we get 7 today for him.
You get 7 for him today, but turning back, we know that Cal's pretty good. We already talked about that. Dirt races on his form are okay. They're not too far off. He's going to have to be a little bit better if everyone can run back to their current numbers, but he's certainly within the realm of possibility.
I am really encouraged by that Parks event back on the late January. He lost out to Scaramouche, who just won the Gallant Bob, the graded 2 Gallant Bob. So that's a little bit encouraging, especially at 6.5. So I'm not too put off by the distance that he gets here today. Tim Tulloch 7.582. I go 7.985. I throw in the Rudy Sanchez Salmon horse in there on top just underneath as well. Race number 5 is this allowance optional claiming 40. A video that you have underneath. But let's talk about King's Honor first, because that's such an interesting horse. I have this horse right underneath for Brittany Russell. Forest Boyce gets the call yet again today.
Yeah, look, second off a break this afternoon, always a good stat for Brittany Russell. This is a horse that's turning back to a mile and 16th today. Came off of that layoff and went 9 furlongs the other day. He always shows up. He has races on his form that are good enough to win here this afternoon, and he gets his favorite rider in Forest Boyce. There's just lots to like here. You know he's going to be well placed early. Maybe there's a little more speed down toward the inside for him, but it won't matter to him. He will lay and still come with a little bit of run.
I agree, and I have so the only thing that bumped me up from not putting this horse on top is that this horse is spaced out relatively in between all of these races. So I was trying to look for a race that was a bit closer to second off of the layoff, and that leads me to the Colonial effort last year, where that was a bit of a clunker. So I don't think that's going to be happening today. If the horse is still up here in training and doing well, I think this horse, we're going to get to see what we've been seeing in these last 2 races in this 2022 form from King's Honor. So this is a solid horse that you can probably you can definitely have some trust in here in this race today. You also go with the number 6 underneath, Royne for Michael Dickinson, Fergal Lynch underneath, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, you can simply draw a line through his most recent race. I mean, I get it was a $100,000 race at Far Hills. Mm-hmm. You were 4-1, so you figured, but it was 2 miles over a yielding course.
Right.
It just wasn't going to work, and simply didn't. However, 2 races before that, we're going 1.5 miles. The good races, lifetime best, back-to-back. But I don't want to key on those races. I want to key in on his races for May and June.
Agreed.
Going 1 mile, 16th, and a mile. And when you look at those races, they're not that much better than the rest of the horses in the field. So this is a horse who, he's a talented individual. I'm not going to take anything away from that. But is he much better than anyone else in this field going 1 mile or mile 16th? Probably not. 1.5 miles, different story. But mile and 16th, he's going to have to prove it here this afternoon.
Well, and he certainly will. So that's just why I have him underneath as well. We both go with Cannon's Roar underneath as well. Dale Capuano but J-Ron Barbosa this time just hasn't. This horse hasn't been getting the luck in the past couple of races. So I'm taking a cautious on him.
Yeah. Well, look, he got in trouble in the Maryland Million Turf and just could never ever recover. Could never get out of the trouble. Was in trouble all the way around today. That day, he's taking a drop today. He's coming out of some nice races. He's coming out of some open allowance races down there at Colonial, 2 races back up at Pimlico, running solid figures. If he can run back to those types of figures with this little bit of class drop, and he is getting a little bit of class drop this afternoon for Cannon's Roar, that could certainly work for him.
We've got a video spotlight on the horse that you dug up a video on Street Copper, Maryland Million Turf. Last time out, striking it wide, but it works out today for that day for him. Tim, he
He,
ran well.
yeah, he ran well. He got to the outside and kept on coming. So couldn't get to Wicked Prankster coming off 6 days rest that particular day. But it was a good race. It was close to a lifetime best. But here we go again with the Maryland Million races. You have to be a little bit careful with them. We were yesterday with Electra, the Electra horse, but that one ran well.
Ran well.
But when you go back and look at his two other thans, the races 2 and 3 back, they're not good enough. He's going to have to run a little bit better. I don't want to get fooled by that Maryland Million race there. His two other than races have been just okay. He's going to have to do better this afternoon.
One of those two other thens was going short, so I'm giving him a bit of an excuse on that. And he did. He had a wide trip in his last time out that we saw in the video, and then in two back as well. So it kind of figures. But I'm taking the chance on this horse has kind of gotten a little bit of a confidence booster out of that. So maybe we can see this horse swinging a little bit. He's been a bit quiet all 2022. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a little bit of a chance on him. I haven't really all season long anyway, so that's just my personal caveat on that, but nobody really cares. Let's take a commercial break really quick to talk about the rest of this Monday card that we have here at Laurel.
We're ready for the start. They're off.
And we're back for this nice setup that we have of Monday racing here at Laurel. Starting in race number 6 in this claiming 46 furlongs on the dirt. We see things somewhat similar. Let's talk about after seeing that video on Creative Cadence, my mind has officially changed. Let's get a video spotlight on your top selection, Tim. That Creative Cadence, that was a nice gutsy run at Monmouth. I was watching the whole race, made an early move, did a lot of the running from the backside, Tim.
Yeah, did a lot of the running and did something that particular day that she might have to do again this afternoon. She likes to be in front, but she's got a lot of speed down toward her inside. She was dead game this day. Laid off a little bit early in the race, got to the front, lost the lead, and came back on that horse, that filly that ran second that day. I mean, I just like her here this afternoon. She's just never run a bad one. She's my best bet of the day, with the exception of her debut where she got beat 13 lengths that day. She may have to employ those same types of tactics because there is some speed down inside, but Jeremy Rose is very good at that. He's got the best seat in the house.
He
if
does.
You got on a filly with speed, you have the best seat in the house if you're in a race with other speed. Her figures work here, and Rose Pecoraro, 30% together, and she is my best bet of the day.
They've just been dominating it together whenever these two hook up. So, and that's the biggest thing. She gets that outside post, especially with a bunch of speed on the inside. But let's talk about some of the other speed on the inside, such as my top selection, Blow Through Yellow Lights. I've done that certainly before, quite often as well. But this one, huge pattern change. Gets to the lead, doesn't look back. Yeah. I'm taking a stab for my Titletown Green Bay folks that this filly can come back at it again.
Look, it certainly picked her head up when in her most recent one she got a clear, easy lead and just ran off with it. Probably not a whole lot behind her that day. Things went her way. Big number, no doubt about that, if she can run back to that. But is she going to get that sort of clear, easy lead today? I tend to think probably not. She'll be taking some pressure from the outside at worst from Creative Cadence, taking some pressure from the outside at worst from Lady Serenity. So it's not going to be an easy gallop along and extend from there. So she's going to have to do the same thing today. She's going to have company on the front end, no doubt about it.
She did. You could say, hey, last time out she did take near the lead, but it was on a sloppy track and it had a little bit, the bumping wasn't that much, so I don't really take those notes as much. But I'm just going off of if they get a confident ride, they can kind of go, they can take it from there, and that can kind of put the light switch on. So I'm gonna just take a stab at that. You have that horse underneath to respect it, Tim. You also have Miss Fussy Pants, Hamby Smith, J. Ron Barbosa underneath. These two are pretty decent together. 7 for 25 on the dirt, 28% together, Tim.
Yeah, this one has not been bad in the last two efforts. Have been improved races over her last two. The race at Timonium when breaking her maiden, and came back with a decent race after not getting away well. She ran pretty well that day. I think she's part of it here, and if she gets some sort of pace setup, and more than likely she's going to, if she can come with a little bit of a run, she could have something to say about the final result.
I think she will as well. We both have Rosie Express underneath for Jamie Ness, Carlos Lopez, coming off of a nice break. Really, I just wanted to highlight and just give kudos to owners and horsemen who run them for the first time, give them a nice little break before they come back, and it's granted dropped down in class, but still brought a nice result.
It brought a nice result. Got a sloppy track that day. I don't think she really needs a sloppy racetrack. If she can duplicate that race this afternoon on a fast racetrack, she's got a shot here. She's not too far off, but she's going to have to do that on a fast racetrack.
Correct.
Second off, a little bit of a layoff. Jamie very good, about 28%.
We'll see. We'll see if that happens with Golden Lad, 17% on a wet dirt, so that helps things certainly. But we'll see what happens when the gates open for that sixth race. Race number 7 is that allowance optional claiming 55. That we have the one-turn mile on the dirt here. We both have the number 9 Anaconda Joe Sharp. Let's take a look at that Kentucky Downs video that Tim brought up for us today.
Yeah, we're going 1 mile on the turf this afternoon. Yeah, look, this is a huge race. Here at Kentucky Downs, way on out there down this. You think we got a long stretch here at Laurel. This thing is like a week and a half all the way down there, and Anaconda just keeps grinding away and grinding away and grinding away up a little bit of a hill over the dale, and here he comes with a very, very good effort and gets up a little bit before the wire. But backs that race up, goes up to Aqueduct on September 29th, runs a big race at this 3 other than level, only gets beat a length and a half, runs a lifetime best or equals his lifetime best 90, but lifetime best going long on the turf 90. Had run a previous race out at Santa Anita going 3/4 of a mile on the grass and had that 90. Look, 3 works since that last race. He had a little trouble in that race at Aqueduct at the break, but he's done that before. Advantage, outside draw. He's not in between horses. So if he doesn't get away the best, he's not going to get bopped around in there
Even
a
so,
little
he
bit.
needs that. He needs that anyway. I mean, look what happened in that Kentucky Downs race. You just take him to the outside and let him go. This is fine. This is fine for him.
I'm talking about the start where he doesn't get bobbled around. So he's on the outside there. So that should work for him.
That should work for him, definitely. That Aqueduct really solidifying things for this type of distance. You also have the 4 underneath. Passion Play for Mary Epler, Horacio Caramanos. This one is just keep ticking along upwards in the right direction, Tim.
Yeah, it's gotten better and better since coming off that layoff in July. Every race a little bit better by results and by figures. Came in with a lifetime best, winning his 2 other than in his most recent start. Steps up to the 3 other than this afternoon, but as we mentioned, has been showing steady improvement. Will he need to improve again today? Sure. By a lot? No, I don't think so. Just by enough, and that might get it done.
Might get it done today. Race number 8 is that allowance optional claiming 48.5, a mile and 16th on the dirt today. We both go with the King Cheek, who opted out of running yesterday to come in here today. Big scratches in this today. We have the scratch of the 3, the 5, and the 7. All those horses I had in my selections, which does leave us with the Jamie Ness entry.
Yeah, I was disappointed that all those horses scratched, but who knows why they did. But yeah, I end up on the King Cheek also. It's just going to see how this race goes. King Cheek does like to run on the front end. That's where he's run his best races. But so does the 2 Monday morning quarterback. I could see this race turning into just a match race and see who can just keep going the farthest, the fastest.
It's the situation with the two, the six, the two,
Yeah.
4, and 6. The one that's interesting is Majestic Frontier, who gets the rail, who loves the rail. It's just a personality quirk of him, and he gets a short field, which could really open things wide up for Majestic Frontier if you want a bit of a price on the rail in this race.
Well, yeah, but he's gonna have to keep on coming. Recent figures aren't going to be able to run with these two. These two probably hook up early and see how it shakes out. I guess the 6 depository for Cal Lynch, another one who could benefit if those two go out there and wipe each other out. But it's gonna, I think, the first 3/4 of a mile, 7/8 of a mile is going to look like a match race, and we really can't expound much more on race 8 than that.
Exactly. Which leaves us to our nightcap here of Monday racing for you guys. This claiming 25, never win 3, a mile and an eighth on the turf. I love this to wrap up our weekend of racing. Draw in the 14, Recycle, who I put in. I just put this horse in on top because of the way the race sets up. I don't really see any other too strong of speed, and this one has some strong speed. Again, it's going to be on the outside. It's a mile. It's a mile and eighth, which is the biggest question for this one. But hey, why not? You have the number 12, which I originally had on top as well. Consultant Bob Placeris, Horacio Caramanos. We've got a video on this last time out run.
Yeah, I mean, this is Maryland Millions starter day, and you're going to see this one get into a little bit of trouble coming up here, going to get shuffled back. Just watch that pink saddle tile, and and everybody but a couple go right by him. But this horse re-rallies a little bit here, gets himself back into position. This was pretty game. Now Horacio's going to have to wait again right here. Just going to have to sit. Whoa. You see Horacio's head come up. Here we go. This horse says, "Find me some daylight, please, sir." And that's exactly what Horacio does when he gets straight in the lane. And this one just keeps on coming. Now, he came into this race off really, really good form since being claimed by Bob Placeris, who's having himself a nice fall meet. He just keeps on digging all the way down there, really under only mild encouragement. Horacio had it measured once he got that one out in the clear, ran a good solid 72 Beyer speed figure that day, and I expect him to repeat because he's been in good form over his last 4.
And really, when you look at his form, too, he's been forwardly placed, not forwardly placed, but just not quite. I think the shuffle kind of was a blessing in disguise in a sense where it just, like you said, Horacio didn't need to do much urging because the horse was there, didn't have to take too much energy out of him because the shuffling back wasn't that drastic enough, but it set the horse up in a really nice spot. So we'll see how they attack that again. We just both go to the inside right underneath. Super E for Hamby Smith, William Humphrey. What a bang-up race on the Maryland Million Day. Just a wonderful, nice, explosive turn of foot that we saw from Super E.
Yeah, I mean, this horse has a shot this afternoon. We might get a little price. And that was a nice race on Maryland Million Day. And horribly outrun early and came with some run 9 wide. 9 wide. He must have been scraping paint on the outside fence 9 wide. It was a good effort. But you go back and you look at his form against a little bit softer, but not that much. You'll see races back at Pimlico in September, Colonial in August, and earlier this year. Races that will work here. He's not too far off, so you certainly want to give him a little consideration, use him up underneath.
Absolutely, use him up underneath. You also have the number 3 underneath. That would be Virginia Fuller, Daniel McKenzie, Walter Rodriguez. It drops back down to a much more favorable level today, but what do you make for the distance?
Did I write the 3? I meant to write the 13. That should be the 13. But
13.
that's okay. Let's
talk about the 13.
Let's talk about the 13. Nikki Bear, Sheldon Russell gets a call today. The blinkers go on. Last time when this one ran at this level, non-winners condition 25,000, he was a winner. That wasn't that far ago. That was long ago. That was just this past August down there at Colonial. He's got the figures from May to August. Any one of those races is good enough to win here this afternoon, getting blinkers on and Sheldon Russell. I'll make that correction their guys. That was supposed to be the 13, but I'm sure I didn't punch in the 1.
That's
There's no
fine.
doubt about
Graphics,
it. So
Graphics is perfectly capable
we
of
can do that.
fixing that for you. If Graphics, if we could get that fixed to the 13 for Tim, that would be great. But you also, we both also have the number 5 underneath Wes Newton, Ricky Hendricks, Forrest Boyce. Can't leave this horse off.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know what? Again, this is one of those deals. Here we go. We run on the flat, 71 Beyer speed figure.
Right.
Good looking effort at Pimlico. Then we try the jumps. Then we try the synthetic. Then we try the jumps again. So look, we're back where clearly this one wants to be, on the flat with Forrest Boyce. We'll see how Wes Newton goes today. And once again, this is a filly that was bred by the Queen.
By the Queen.
Gelded.
Gelded now. Let's just getting back to the nice environment where this horse knows and wins very well. But that wraps it up for our card, our Monday card here at Laurel Park. Let's talk about a couple of points in the lightning round. We have some nice stakes action coming up on Saturday. Most notably, let's talk a little bit about the Smart Halo. This is a picture of Chickiness, who won Maryland Million late the Lassie, and now steps up here today. But she finds a field that's going to be that's going to challenge her well enough, Tim.
It probably will challenge her. I mean, I felt a little bit better about Chickiness' race, seeing the picture there.
Yes.
After Synergy Electra came back and ran pretty well in open company yesterday, because I was a little suspect of that juvenile filly race on Maryland Million Day. Synergy's Electra made Chickiness look a little bit better to me yesterday, so we'll see how she fares next Saturday.
The one that I'm interested in that race is Diamonds If You Do, Graham Motion. That horse ran well first time out at Keeneland. So if you have a Graham Motion first time out that runs well, you're going to find a little bit more promising, because usually his barn takes a couple of starts to really get that going. We also have the James F. Lewis. That's a little bit more open, a little bit more of a nuanced race. You have a couple of easy ship-ins, but you have some nice Cal Lynch horse who ran here at Laurel a couple of weeks ago, early October, that could be interesting. An Anthony Ferrier horse in there as well. The 38 Go-Go also includes Hybrid Eclipse, Malibu Beauty, a couple of New York ship-ins, one with Rudy Rodriguez. It's an interesting step up on that one in the 38 Go-Go.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Malibu Beauty looks awfully tough.
She does.
In that race. Hybrid Eclipse coming out of the Grade 2 Beldame. That's certainly a class drop here next Saturday for sure. Ran a good solid number that day. But she did win the Caesar's Wish, going a mile back in July. So she's in the mix. You talked about Rudy horse. 2 other than up the road there, 1 1/8. Could be some consideration. Probably has to run a little bit better. Faster by the numbers anyway, but should be an interesting race, the 38 Go-Go.
We're thinking that we might have seen Luna Bell come in back for that Maryland Million Day, but just wanted to highlight that she is going to be back in 2023. She was coming in, she was here at Laurel Park doing some works, getting ready to get back into things, but then came back after a work. Hammy Smith was a little bit concerned. They took her to center and just found some bone bruising. And Tim, as a trainer, that bone bruising can be a little bit hard to kind of disclose and kind of get after, but it's just a kudos, because that's kind of a hard thing to diagnose, and really, really, I think, important and a nice move on a horseman's part of Hammy Smith.
Yeah, really fast horses are hard to train. Don't
Right.
make any doubt about it. Really fast horses are hard to train. You have to be very, very careful with them. They always want to do more. Most of the time want to do more, and when they do work, they do race, they do it fast. So they're hard to be around. You've got to stay on top of them all the time. It was a good move by Hammy, taking a look at her and see what's going on.
A great move by Hammy. Just kudos to him and the whole team for doing that. We'll see Luna Bell in 2023, but we'll see Dave Robin in a couple of seconds for changes and scratches.